Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to, I guess, what we're probably going to call something like GB3 reviews. This is still kind of a planning phase, but we're trying something out. Both me and the HeiseNerd Bill Fields and I are both excited for a movie called Ready Player One because both of us love movies and both of us love video games, and this has both, and especially a lot of different properties and stuff that we're going to get into in a bit. And what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about our thoughts before the movie, then we're both going to see it, and then we'll come back and talk about our thoughts after the movie, but we're going to put it all together in one nice little podcast for everybody. So, Bill, I know you talked about reading the book. I don't think you got around to it. I've never read the book. I only know what I've seen in the trailers. What is your first thoughts on what you've seen of the movie and what you've heard about the movie?
Well, as much as I wanted to get into the book, being a gamer and everything, I didn't get a chance to, which was unfortunate. But, from the trailers, this looks pretty good. The first initial thought that comes to me is kind of like when I was a kid, I used to just take whatever random action figures I had and stuff together and just threw them together and had a big war with them, whether they were Transformers or G.I. Joes or Ninja Turtles, and just got them all together. I kind of look at this as, this is the movie or the book of, hey, what if we did this and actually made something out of it? But I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of interested in seeing the trailers and how it looks. I was like, this is actually being done by Steven Spielberg, which it doesn't look as much like Steven Spielberg material. I kind of get a young adult vibe, kind of, like your almost Hunger Games, this kind of vibe out of this, and I'm little concerned about that. But I mean, initially I think that this is going to probably be a pretty good movie. What are some of your thoughts, Geno?
Well, first of all, it's funny that you mentioned the mash and the toys together type thing, because I did that stuff too. Yeah, G.I. Joes fought He-Mans, fought Transformers, fought Ninja Turtles, fought GoBots, and whoever else I could throw into the mix. I think Muscles were involved. And it's funny, my son does the same thing. I watch him mash together Star Wars and Minecraft and just about anything else. Mario's getting involved now. And so, I mean, that aspect, of what the movie looks like, the idea is kind of neat, thrown into this virtual world that's, almost like, say, like a similar to like maybe a World of Warcraft or something, where it's like an MMO type thing, but virtual reality. What worries me about this movie is maybe the fan service overload.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I see the trailers and it makes you wonder, and I know Spielberg went around asking pretty much everyone, hey, can we use these people in this movie? I know there's going to be a lot of fan service in it, where, you see, I know in the trailer, you see, like, if there's like a Ninja Turtle and Deadpool and Chucky,
Iron Giant.
From Child's Play. Yeah, Iron Giant I know is going to supposedly have a big part in it.
Is Vin Diesel doing the voice? Do you know?
I haven't heard anything about that, but I'll bet money that he is.
It would only make sense.
Without, he should if he's not. But it makes me wonder just how fan servicey it's gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, is it gonna be distracting? I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff we're seeing in the trailer is going to be near the end of the movie, like the massive war kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I imagine a lot of the movie is going to focus on the created characters that are in the book that you see in the trailer, like the main character. I can't remember what his character's called. I looked it up, and then there's a few others.
I think it was Wade or something like that. It was
he said it was like Peter Parker or something like that, where his dad named him like a superhero. I have a feeling most of the movie is going to focus on that, which honestly I don't think that's a bad thing, because that way you can get to know these characters and just not have to rely on these ready-mades, the stuff we know, maybe kind of like a Wreck-It Ralph did with a lot of those video game characters. Yeah, they were there. Yeah, they used them well, and I kind of hope this movie does the same. I do have a feeling, though, since it's produced by Warner Brothers, and I think any other movie studio would have done this, I think that if a character is in the Warner Brothers family, they may get a little more time than some of the other ones, and maybe will get more a prominent role. But you know, that's just business. So I mean, I can't be against that too much. But yeah, that's my biggest fear is that the fan service nature of this movie may overshadow the story. The story does look interesting, but I have a feeling that the fan service may be a bit too much.
I don't know. I think it'll be okay. I mean, we could get some fan service in movies. A couple that kind of really come to mind were the two Lego movies that had come out. The original Lego movie and Lego Batman. I guess, I mean, obviously there's a more satirical take to these characters in those, but I mean, you're kind of like still getting that nostalgia vibe because they're throwing some of these characters in there, but it's not in your face to kind of overshadow the story. One of my concerns, and I don't know, I'm not overly concerned about it, but there is like a enormous level of CG in this film, but I think it'll be okay just because of the fact that it's kind of inside of a virtual world. So I think that it'll still fly. It's like basically being inside of a video game. I just had to look at it through that lens to be able to kind of to look past it.
Well, that's just it. It's like, you know, it is a video game. So of course it's going to look it should look like that, I guess, you know. I mean, at least
the main character kind of looks straight like a character out of Final Fantasy, so...
Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm okay with that. That I didn't think was going to bother me too much. One thing I will say that I do like about this movie that I've seen is the cast. I like Ty Sheridan a lot, and I think he's a pretty good lead. If you've never seen... I mean, granted, he got stuck in X-Men Apocalypse as the new Cyclops, which it's unfortunate for him there, but... he was in a movie with Matthew McConaughey called Mud. That was the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah.
And that is a fantastic movie. And I'm hoping we get that Ty Sheridan, which I'm not saying he was terrible as Cyclops, but, you know, it could have been better, right? Another person I'm excited to see is Olivia Cooke. If you've never seen Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, she is a huge standout in that movie. That was like her first big role. And I also just watched her in a movie the other day called Thoroughbreds, and she stood out in that role too. Granted, I know she's not the main character. She's kind of the side main character, possible love interest, I'm guessing, to the main character. And she's fantastic. Let's put it that way. If you've seen her in anything, she's fantastic. Plus, Ben Mendelsohn is the bad guy.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's
well.
Krennic from Rogue One.
Yep.
And
Simon Pegg's in it too, I think.
Ogden Morrow, which I don't know who that character is. Mark Rylance is the creator of this world, which Mark Rylance has been doing a lot of Spielberg stuff lately, and he usually stands out. And there's others. And that being, I like that they got this cast together, a solid cast, especially with your younger actors, that, you know, there's at least a chance that they're going to put on, you know, a good performance. You know, they're going to be able to push the story along and not, you know, not relying on like unknown child actors to make this work. And that's
right.
One thing that excites me about this.
I get a question is, like, has Spielberg ever really done like epic level fantasy before? Really, I mean he's done like small level, of course, with, you know, Indiana Jones and the Goonies and stuff, but I don't think he's done anything like grand scale fantasy. Obviously, he did grand scale with like Saving Private Ryan, so I think he could kind of mix both those together. But what
you could probably say, you know, you could throw like AI in there. I know that's not a good movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be fairly high scale, you know, tech type fantasy. Maybe you could say Minority Report. I know.
I love that movie. So,
you know, it's not. I mean, it's sci-fi. But then again, we're talking about a Spielberg. I mean, yes, he's still a solid director, but we're talking about a Spielberg that has, you know, produced some stuff that should never have gotten made, you know, like Transformers movies.
Right.
So that's where I'm starting to get afraid. He also, I mean, he directed, you know, like the BFG. He hasn't done all great movies, right? I mean,
right.
Forever, you know, Bridge of Spies was good, but then his next movie was the BFG.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, Crystal Skull, but but also
that was Lucas's movie though.
He directed War of the Worlds, the War of the Worlds remake, which wasn't fantastic. But then again, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's a hit and miss director, but for me, he's more hit than miss, but boy, does he have some misses.
Sometimes he just needs to get a paycheck so that he can make a big one,
Yeah, well, I mean, he was wanting to make that West Side Story remake as one of his next movies, and of course he's working on a new Indiana Jones movie. So those are his next ones.
Indiana Jones and the Search for the Golden Bedpan.
Oh, God. That's just it. Here's the thing. We'll get off on a side tangent here. I love Indiana Jones. And the fact that they've said when it's going to start filming soon, I can't remember exactly when it was. It was in my notes for one of my last Get on the Mic shows. I heard they were going to start filming, and it's like I got excited like a kid again. I mean, but then again, I'm a little cautious because of Crystal Skull, but I have a feeling that, first of all, they're not bringing back Shia LaBeouf, so, that's a first positive, and hopefully there won't be nukes and refrigerators. That might be a positive if they don't bring that stuff back. But, look, Spielberg, I think, has the capability. I know when it comes to Ready Player One, he's come out and has said how much he loves the source material. He loves that book. So I'm kind of hoping that his fandom of it will outweigh any studio BS when it comes to, them letting him direct. I think they kind of just let him direct what he wants. So, I don't even see Warner Brothers trying to tell Steven Spielberg what to do too much when it comes to this movie. I hope I'm right about that.
Did the author have any input as far as the writing of the film? Do you know anything?
I have no idea. I've lately been trying not to research movies too much before the fact because I don't want to be swayed in my opinion when I go to review it.
Or spoilers.
Or spoiled, definitely. And I've been avoiding a lot of trailers and stuff as well because I just don't want to know because I'm afraid I'm going to run into something. If you go to any website now, they're like, guess what we found out about this movie? You have to almost avoid everything, especially when a big movie you're looking forward to is coming out. Right. So yeah, I don't know much about the input of that movie. I've been doing a little searching while we've been talking. I don't see anything about Vin Diesel voicing the Iron Giant for that movie, but I'll bet money he did it uncredited.
Oh yeah, it'll be a cameo.
Yeah, he seems that. Well, apparently the Iron Giant has a big role in this movie.
Well, he's in like every trailer, so yeah, I mean, he's got to.
Well, and also he has a pop figure in the Ready Player One, group of figures. So I have a feeling that he's going to have a bigger role to play. I don't know if he's going to talk too much, but I have a feeling that we're going to either see at the end of the movie it's going to say, and Vin Diesel is the Iron Giant, or he's just going to go uncredited. He just seems like that kind of actor that would do something cool like that. So... Yeah. Hopefully that's the case. I mean, granted, they don't have to get him, but, I mean, come on. I mean, he pioneered that role, and that was almost kind of his break. So, I'd like to see that. But yeah, when it comes to this movie, I just want to hope that it brings that childhood feel to it that we talked about at the beginning of this before segment. I just don't want it to be maybe all fan service. I want a good story, too. I mean, there is a whole thing where the creator of the game hates his game and he dies and leaves like clues to whoever finds whatever gets to own or rules the game or whatever. So it seems like it's gonna be maybe the typical YA type of thing where it's evil corporation against ragtag group. But, as long as they do it well and then, have a good, side, or good pieces of the story attached to it with that little bit of fan service, I think it'll be okay, but I guess we'll find out after we see it.
Yeah, I just say closing thoughts. I'm just ready to see the movie, and I think that Spielberg he'll give it the attention that it needs, and I think that it's going to be a fun movie, nostalgic, and we'll see how it turns out.
So, guys, that's going to be it for our before seeing Ready Player One. So we'll be back here. Well, for you guys, it'll be here in just a second with our after review. See you in a bit.
See you.
Marty! You've got to come back with me!
Where?
Back to the future!
And we're back. For us, it was a few days. For you, just a few seconds. So, Bill, we've both seen the movie now. I just want to get your general thoughts here at first. What did you think of the movie just as a whole?
I thought it was a really fun experience. Once again, not going into real details about the movie itself, but I thought that I had fun with it. It did have a very old Spielberg kind of feel to it almost. I think that just basically just really had to do with the fact that this film just kind of bleeds nostalgia, of course. So, I mean, obviously that's a lot of it. And there's little bits and pieces and Easter eggs that I definitely want to talk about here a little bit later. But overall, yeah, I definitely liked the film. I'll say that I think that the visuals actually were pretty stunning. Again, more detail a little bit about that. But otherwise, yeah, I thought it was a good movie. And I would say, yeah, definitely watch it. So
yeah, I really liked the movie too. Now, not saying I thought it was the greatest movie ever or anything, but I had a good time. Sometimes that's enough. Like you said with the visuals, I know we were saying before that, we thought, well, it's going to look, almost too computer animated, you know what I mean? But that worked for this because that's right. What it was. It was a computer game. And, I had a lot of good laughs with this movie, especially when they went into the movie. You know which part I'm talking about.
I don't want to spoil
too much. Quickly. And yeah, they went into a movie, and that was great. There were some things I thought the movie was a little too predictable, because when you're as old as we are, you knew kind of where they were going with things. That being said, I would love to show it to my kids because they wouldn't know. It was okay that I knew these things because I kind of felt proud that I knew these things.
Well, there was one thing that I thought was possible that was going to happen, and I was expecting to, or was thinking, man, this should happen, but it never did, and I'm kind of a little disappointed about that, and I'll talk about that in details a little bit too.
But yeah, it was, all in all, it was a really fun movie. It's one that I say check out, but it's, like I said, it's not gonna. Here's. I hate saying this because I know I would watch it again, but am I clamoring to see it again? Not really, because it was a good movie. It's one that I would watch. I would show my kids. I'd have a good time if I just wanted to throw something on. I would like to maybe find out what all the different characters and stuff that were all in those groups and everything, because you're not going to see everything the first time,
right?
But all in all, it was a fun movie for me.
Right. I kind of liken the flashing of different characters and nostalgia in this movie to almost Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it's like you kind of have to watch it many times before you see, oh, there's that character. You know what I'm kind of saying there?
Yeah, I can see where you're saying that. Let's talk about that, about their use of pop culture and everything.
Yeah, I think that would be a good start.
There was some parts where, that it would just be a flash of a character here and there. And then there were parts where the pop culture played into the plot. Do you think that that stuff was... did it have a good balance of their own storyline versus the pop culture?
I think absolutely. I think that it used enough of it to... Okay, again, I kind of liken this, and I'm going to kind of compare these two movies, even though they're two totally different movies. But I'm going to compare this movie kind of to Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Particularly in this subject, I think that it's enough of the nostalgia and the throwback stuff to kind of usher along the actual story, but it's enough of it to make it enticing and interesting, like Scott Pilgrim was. The one thing I will say with this one, though, is that this movie isn't as quotable, or as the characters within it, I don't feel are as interesting or as fun as the characters, so to speak, in Scott Pilgrim. But I think that, yeah, it used the nostalgia just enough. Particularly, I'm just going to start naming some of them. I like the fact that, he bought the Zemeckis cube and the holy hand grenade and ended up using both of them in the film. The Zemeckis cube was really cool. I was like, oh, okay, total Back to the Future reference. I'm fine with that. Okay, I don't know if you want me to go into because there was one moment where I wasn't seeing this coming. When they were fighting in the final battle, and of course, the main bad guy ends up having his big mechanized weapon that he uses, and then the good guy's main mechanized weapon. Didn't see that coming. I was like, that is so freaking cool.
Yeah, in the book, the good guy's weapon ended up being a little different. But it was still along the same lines of what they did. I think they used more of a known reference this time versus what's in the book, even though a lot of people would know the pop culture reference in the book. I am going to mention the villains because there was something I was disappointed about it. Earlier in the movie, he was having to be fed pop culture stuff to try to trick the main character.
Sure, yeah.
And by the way, I love Ben Mendelsohn as a bad guy. I just got to say that. I there's something to be said about typecasting, but, if they're darn good at it, just let him be the bad guy.
Interesting enough, on a side note, I don't know what you would feel about this, but just seeing how he acted in this and stuff, I could almost see if they ever made a WWE biopic kind of thing.
Vince McMahon?
He would totally be Vince.
That would be fantastic.
It would be awesome.
But I want to talk about, they were feeding, he was being fed pop culture references because he's a businessman and he doesn't have time for that crap, right? Well,
sure.
I was a little disappointed that they missed a perfect opportunity for a joke at the end. He has a Mecha Godzilla
we could be spoilerific here, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but I want to talk about this because it bothered me. For someone that has no knowledge of pop culture, I would have loved it. It would have been a perfect joke if he would have had a robot version of the 90s Godzilla, the one that everyone hates.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been funnier to me. That being said, I'm not saying that stuff wasn't cool, because it was cool, don't get me wrong. But I just, the fact that he had that, I would have liked him to have had something that wasn't as cool. You know what I mean? Because it would have fit his character. Also, were you as disappointed as I am that the whole time his character looked like Superman in a suit, and he didn't yank off that suit and have have him be like Superman as a villain, because he had the curly Q and everything in his hair.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, I'll bet money he tears that suit off. I mean, it's Warner Brothers. They can do it. They
could have.
He didn't really do anything. I was kind of disappointed in that. That being said, Ben Mendelsohn as the human character was fantastic. So, but when it came to the pop culture references for me, I liked that though they were spread throughout the film, the whole thing wasn't like what you saw in the trailer. If the whole movie just would have been a pop culture blast, right? Just reference after reference after reference the entire time, it would have gotten tiresome. They have the huge thing at first with the race and everything that you've seen in the trailers. And then they use stuff sparingly throughout, and they have a few big moments like for the different tests and everything, but it's not as in your face the entire time. Right. And then of course they save a huge thing for the end. And I like that they did that though the characters themselves weren't the greatest characters, they were good. I enjoyed the characters. I wasn't surprised when they revealed who they were. I was like, yeah, what a shock, but it was still entertaining.
You didn't think that, I don't know, maybe, I don't think I was really surprised when they revealed H. I kind of figured there was going to be something about, because you could tell that H was obviously using voice distortion with it, so I mean, obviously there was going to be something there. I was taken a little bit off with show, but not, but it was still an awesome reveal. I think my favorite thing was that it being that H was kind of like supposed to be kind of like this complete hard, being all hard as a character, and then when they go into The Shining, H is completely like the wuss character amongst them.
I guess we are spoiling, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
All right. Now, all right. You know what? Spoilers away. Let's just go at this. Okay. Yeah. When H was revealed, I wasn't surprised, especially when she kept mentioning.
Yeah.
Well, Artemis
could be a dude named
right?
Chuck.
I kind of had a feeling that H was going to be a girl. Now, of the other two characters, I can't remember the names of each of them. There was the one
Daito, and Show. I think.
Show, yeah. Well, when the one ended up being the little kid,
yeah, the Show.
The only thing that didn't surprise me is that he wasn't cussing the entire time. Given the real nature of little kids on headsets nowadays.
Right.
But
now, if they probably would have, maybe if they would have gotten the R rating, but
oh yeah, I'll tell you though. I mean, if you listen to a lot, I mean, there was some language in that movie.
Oh yeah, they got their one F-bomb in.
Yeah, and it was a good one.
It was good. It was good. Yes.
I did enjoy that one because
let's not spoil that.
No, I won't. Let's just say it made total sense with why they used it. And it was a good one, but I mean, surprisingly, there was a little more language than I thought there was going to be. So if you do take your kids to go see it, just be warned. But yeah, when they focused on their characters, I won't say I was disappointed in the characters. I enjoyed them. I really did. But was there anything really special about a lot of them? Not really. The story was fairly predictable with their characters.
Sure.
Because, they all kind of just played their parts. That being said, I was having such a good time watching the movie and just enjoying the ride that, it didn't bother me too much. But that being said, not having, these fully developed characters, they were just kind of, here's this person, here's that person, and they fit their role. The acting was fine. But the characters themselves, I was a little disappointed with Artemis, not so much in the character itself, but anytime a movie tries to say something like, well, you wouldn't like who I am as a real person, and all of a sudden there's still a really pretty girl with just a birthmark on their face.
Yeah, it's kind of like, wait a minute.
I mean, if she would have been like half her face was scarred or something, that would have made more sense to the character, because then they could have, it would have made the main character look, it would have made him look better, because it's just like, well, you're still pretty,
One of the things that disappointed me was that I was totally expecting, and I don't know if you were too, but I was kind of expecting IROC to turn coat. Not necessarily turn coat and become good, but turn coat and kind of be the bad guy in the end.
Oh, you thought he was going to be the big bad, huh?
Right. I thought that maybe he was going to get sick of Nolan and be like, okay, especially after the fact that he was threatening to basically like wipe everybody clean there in that arena. I was like, okay, this dude's totally going to turn on him, and because it's like he's definitely more resourceful, if you want to know my opinion.
I gotta say, I know T.J. Miller isn't the most popular person in Hollywood right now, given some of the stuff he's been accused of. But he was one of my favorite characters, just because I found him funny. I liked it's that typical, I'm a big badass in this world, but in the real world, they never showed him.
No,
did
they didn't
in person. I wish they would have at the end. I wish they would have, because I would have loved to have seen just, have this, big dork in a gaming chair, just surrounded by Mountain Dew, and just, I would have loved to have seen that after he was done,
Right.
and just kind of, because I just love the fact that, they show this, total just jacked creature, and then all of a sudden starts, talking like Weasel from Deadpool, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. Ben Mendelsohn's character, I knew was going to be the baddie till the end. I would have liked to have seen. They did have a few bad guys in there, but they were really nothing of consequence either. That bounty hunter type lady that was that worked for Mendelsohn's character that was supposed to be tracking him down. She was kind of, a disappointment in the end. But Mendelsohn as the bad guy was enough for me. And then of course, IROC, which was TJ Miller's character was pretty fun. So I was okay. But yeah, I could see where you're coming with that. I didn't think it was going to happen, though. I didn't even really think about that. But I could see him. I thought maybe in a way they were going to turn him good. Like, okay. Especially when he was going to destroy the world, right?
Right.
It's like, well, I can't have that. This is my world. I was hoping they weren't going to do it, and they didn't, so I was glad. But that's the way I could have seen them turning with that character.
Sure. So do you want to kind of talk about your thoughts? I know you want to talk about your thoughts with it as opposed to the book, and then I kind of want to talk about some of my thoughts on themes. I guess I'll start with some of my thoughts on themes and messages. I thought that this movie to me was, first of all, I thought it was somewhat of a cautionary tale of making sure that we don't immerse ourselves too much into these sort of things, because this sort of thing could happen. But also one of my biggest messages that I got out of this film, especially like in the very toward the ending scene, I felt like that there is a lot of a message of people's work and how much they pour into it. Particularly as a gamer, this really sits with me. I thought that the idea that Halliday poured his soul and his life in almost literally into this program, it kind of speaks to the fact that this is, part of the reason why I don't play a whole lot of AAA newer games, because of the fact that I feel like there's not enough artistry or soul put into the game anymore. I follow a lot more of the independent scene when it comes to games now, because of the fact that really games, it's just like movies, it's just like TV, it's just like any other form of media. It should be an art form. You should really be putting you should be pouring yourself into it. And I feel like these independent artists really do when they make their games. It makes them much more intriguing, makes them much more immersive, and I think that that's one of the themes that I really got out of this film. What do you think, Geno?
Oh, I can totally see that. What's funny that I got out of it, though, which it kind of sat with me a little wrong, the very end of the movie. They talked about, the real world is real. We'll just leave it at that. The real world is real. But let's shut it down for 2 days. Shut it down for 2 days a week. I didn't think they were going to do it because, of course, they got to maybe tease a sequel. You never know. I could see Ready Player 2 being a thing.
Well, I know that he's working on a sequel novel is what I've heard.
Okay, so. Yeah, I knew there wasn't one at the moment, but I hadn't heard that, but I can totally believe it. Yeah, Ready Player 2. I know, and I'm going to go into the book thing, and I won't spoil too much because I know you said you wanted to read it. Let's just say that I think fans of the book they may not be happy with this movie because a lot has changed. Will they enjoy it? Maybe, but even all the tests are different. Okay. There's no race. There's no in the movie. There's no play the game, right?
Oh, wow.
It's not like that. I don't remember what all they said, but it was just so many things are different. There's no resistance thing. There's just all sorts of little things like that. Wade doesn't get to meet Artemis in real life until a different part, for a long time. Let's just put it that way.
Later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's just so much different that I'm wondering if fans of I really want to know what fans of the book think of this, because
I'm really intrigued now. I definitely need to. do this now.
Because I did a lot of research on it. I found this article that was, it was like 12 things different, and it's like, wow, they changed a ton. So yeah, I'm just wondering about that. I won't say much more about the book because, like I said, I know you want to read it. But
right.
One thing that I thought there were some missed opportunities in this movie, as we talked about, like the Godzilla thing. I knew where they were going with the third test with the different games.
Okay, I wondered if you knew enough about that particular game that's what they were going for.
Yeah, when I was watching, I can't remember which documentary it was, they were talking about the creator of that game. I think it was Atari Game Over was the documentary. And they were talking about that game, and they mentioned the Easter egg in that game because, of course, the theme of this movie is Easter eggs. And I kind of had a feeling that's where it was going, especially I had a feeling that was going to be the game, and it was. That there was, because I knew there was an Easter egg in it. I didn't know how deep it was going to go into about like the creation or whatever, but I just knew that I had a feeling that was going to be the game. I was a little disappointed, and maybe Spielberg can't take a joke. I had a feeling that one of the games they were going to play was E.T.
Oh, it would have been great.
I really think they should have thrown that in there.
But maybe Universal wouldn't let them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. I think that would have been hilarious.
Right.
And it would have been even funnier if the game just turned on and instantly they fell through the ice.
Yeah.
That's the joke I would have told. The game would start and you'd hear that annoying and then smash, through the ice.
Interestingly enough, I thought that the idea that it was adventure and thinking about the theme of this and that it is kind of about artistry and pouring yourself in. Interestingly enough, I mean, back in the days of the Atari 2600, the game developers weren't getting recognized,
right,
within the game, and that's why he did it. That's why Activision was formed too, because these developers were getting like next to nothing and no kind of recognition, and some of them were saying, "Well, we'd like to get recognized," and they were kind of like the executives at Atari were like, "No," so they left and made Activision. So
right, and
that's where we got Pitfall,
and that is like one of the parts I really liked about the movie, even though I saw it coming. I really liked that because it made a lot of sense. And it was, and I like I said, I felt kind of proud that I knew about it, that I wasn't learning this. I would be okay with my kids learning it from this movie, but I enjoyed the fact that I knew this already.
Right.
It didn't take away the enjoyment. It's just like I just kind of knew how it was going to end. I liked that they did something like that for the third test, because it really, showed the creator's character a little bit. It was showing, that he's loved games for a long time. They had that footage of him as a kid, or he was part of the scene as a kid, or whatever it was. They could show that, he knew about that as a kid, and maybe that made him, love and appreciate games and appreciate the creators of the games, and he became one himself. And, I am curious. I got to ask you this, and because I know you got thoughts on this. What are your thoughts about that scene, about what they were doing with the creator character when he asked him, "Are you still alive?" and he says, "No." Well, what are you? Go.
I think that he put his actual consciousness somehow into the program. I think he literally is part of the program to sustain his life. I'm not sure specifically how. Maybe that'll be touched in a further episode. But that's my thoughts.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking too, because I didn't think he was just a program. You know what I mean? That it wasn't just, he's just not ones and zeros. He's something more. I felt like they were kind of throwing "Are you God?" in there, and he just like, kind of just walked off, so,
right.
I mean, I was wondering if he was going to be like in hiding somewhere in the real world, like he faked his death, but he confirmed, he's like, "No, I'm not alive." But I could see that being the case too. And that was my real initial thought. Honestly, it's the only thing that made sense to me, is if he found a way to put himself in there.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I thought about it too. And really, like I said, I'd hate for it to be I'm just a program. It'd be kind of weak to me. So so overall, again, we both like the movie. We both recommend the movie.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this: is this one you're gonna buy when it comes out?
That's a really good question. I think so at some point. I don't know if I'll get it when it initially comes out. I'll probably pick it up once, it's been out for a little while. You could pick it up for a little bit less, It's one of those kind of films. Definitely it'll be a rental to watch it again when it first comes out. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a good film. I would give it a solid 7 to 8, somewhere in the middle there.
Well, I don't like to do ratings, as you know, in my reviews.
Sure.
I may buy it because I know, especially my youngest son, who's definitely a video game head, and it's in his DNA. He's gonna love it. I may even take him to go see it. I'm not sure. He's been able to watch stuff from my generation and enjoy it, and he knows, who a lot of the characters are, both new and old, and that's in this movie. So I don't like to give ratings, but I'll give the rating that I did on my radio segment. I would rate this movie E for everyone.
Nice.
So yeah, guys, as you can tell, we both recommend the movie. You should definitely go check it out. I would say see it in the theaters because it looks really cool, big. I don't know if you're going to get the same feeling that you saw, if you were just watching it on your television, but it's still an enjoyable movie. But I would say definitely check it out in the theaters. Bill, you'd probably say the same thing?
Absolutely.
Well, guys, that's going to be it for GB3 Reviews, Ready Player One. If you want to find our individual channels, I'll put them in the description below. I'm the real Geno for HeiseNerd. This has been GB3 Reviews. Talk to you later.
Later.